75,000 miles on my 11-year-old 2014 Audi S4. This car has been more than just a daily driver. It's covered some serious ground, driven from sunny California to the brutal heat of Arizona, New Mexico, and then Texas. And then all the way through the different terrains the East Coast provides, leading up to Virginia. So if there was a real-world durability test for a car, I believe that was it. And now that the car is 75,000 miles, I think it's the perfect time to lay it all out. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Carbon buildup on there, so we're gonna brake cleaner with that, and then use a metal brush to it. So this is my 2014 Audi S4. I recently just hit 75,000 miles, and I feel like that's kind of the number that begins to be the question of, is this car reliable? I originally bought this car in 2021 with about 45,000 miles, so I've basically put about 30,000 miles on it. But even though I only have 30,000 miles put on this car myself, I did have an A4 that was a 2012 that I believe I put 30,000 or so as well on. So today I thought, why not do a 75,000 mile review on this car? I think one of the most common things I ever hear when people hear I drive an Audi or a German car is, you probably have a lot of maintenance. And while that can be kind of true, it's not one of those things that's this everyday occurrence. Some of the big things they tell you about this car is gonna be the PCV valve, the water pump, and the thermostat. You know, those are kind of the big three things that go wrong on both, honestly, the A4 and the S4. And it's only until now that I'm starting to have a coolant problem. And that really could be any three of those things. Let me show you. As you can see right here, we've definitely got some sort of coolant leak going on. And I kind of doubt it's the PCV valve because of just the location. You got the water pump and the thermostat right here. And the best thing I can think of is there is coolant leaking down onto this belt and actually flinging it up here. Look at that, yeah. That's brand new. That wasn't even there until I just drove the car. So I know that this thing is definitely immediate, especially when you see this coolant reservoir is getting lower every single time I drive it. And clearly it's spitting out pretty bad. Before doing the carbon cleaning in the last video, I did notice I was having a little bit of coolant loss. And after we put the car all back together, we thought maybe the debris from the carbon when we were doing the walnut blasting had kind of gotten everywhere, and maybe that mixed with water and coolant, everything that was going on, maybe that created some sort of spitting coming from the belt. But I've driven the cars enough time now, and there's no way that's what it is. But what I definitely know is that this thing smells like coolant. And I would know that because I recently had the heater core on my F-150 go bad, and that was a ripe smell. So today I'm officially gonna say that this is the first big maintenance thing that's happened on the S4. I mean, it's even reached its way all the way over here. I don't know if you guys can see these tiny little specks, but it's definitely leaking. Now, I could probably take a shot in the dark and just get one of the things done and hope it's, you know, the fix, and that would probably be the water pump, but I think I'd rather just do all three of those big pieces at the same time. They're all pretty much in the same area, aside from the PCV valve, which is just directly under here. Kind of the same pathway you have to take regardless. So there will be a future video coming for that fix specifically. Just not anytime soon because I'm getting ready to move, and there will be kind of a fun video around that. I'm honestly kind of surprised it even got to this point. I mean, this sounded like it was such a big issue for people that it probably should have happened sooner, but here we are now, and I guess it's just more content for me to film and learn how to get my own hands dirty on this car, even though I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing with that type of stuff. But I mean, the bright side is that I am learning, and it's been fun, and I think it makes for some pretty funny content watching someone who has no clue what they're doing learn on such a complicated piece of machinery. Now, there's two other big issues that this car has been having. For those of you that have been here for a while, you know I have had an endless battle with this AC. And I recently saw a new code when I ran my OBD11 on this, and it seems like one of the blend doors is actually stuck. So even though I'm getting a slight bit of cold air, it's actually mixing hot and cold at the same time. So right now, I'm not really sure if the AC just actually doesn't have Freon, or if that door is causing so much hot air to get in that I can't get any cold air to build up and keep the car cool. I mean, I practically sweat in this thing after 10 minutes of driving. The AC works, there's no problems with that. It's just that, I don't even know if you guys can hear that, but it's just that it's not getting cold, and let me turn that annoying thing off. AC has just been an endless battle for me. I've done the compressor, the condenser, the valves where you fill the Freon, I forget what they're called, but they're just these tiny little rings basically that I guess, hold the Freon in. I've done so many things with this AC system that I just don't know where to go anymore. The really annoying thing is that this isn't only this Audi's problem. My mom's Audi didn't really blow the coldest, and I don't know if luke cold is a phrase, but I know lukewarm is. But I think luke cold would be a way to describe how poor the AC on my last Audi ran. Like, it got the car cool, but it wasn't something that was like super comfortable to be in. Like, you were not getting in the 60s in the cabin. You were getting maybe like 75. With this car, it's just sweating bullets. Like, I cannot beat this AC issue, and I don't know if this is a big issue that a lot of other Audi owners have. Maybe I'm unlucky on 3 different Audis, but I just can't beat this thing. Now, enough of that AC issue. I think we should talk about this maintenance that, I don't know. I mean, you guys let me know. I feel like this is not too premature, especially on a tuned Audi. But right here, the clutch is starting to give out on the Audi. At first, it just started with a little bit of noise. Then it turned into a little bit of a burning smell. And now anything above 3,000 to 4,000 RPMs, and it basically releases and I have no more power anymore. The only thing I can do is let the RPMs come down, it recatches, and then I have power again to the transmission. And again, I don't know if that's premature. I'm not really sure how long most clutches last. And you know, maybe you could say I did that to the clutch, but I don't think so. I've been driving manuals since I was 17. I'm 25 now. I'm pretty good at driving them. I do not think I put excessive wear on it, but hey, I mean, maybe it's me, right? I do think it's just because it is tuned higher than, you know, what the stock clutch allows. And I just look at this as another reason to do an upgrade to some sort of stage 2 ready clutch, maybe stage 3. I don't know. I haven't really decided how far I want to go with this car. I mean, the most important thing to me right now is cosmetics, because I guess a big issue that a lot of people do have with this car is that even fully maxed out, tuned, modded, built, you're looking at about 600 horsepower. And for a lot of people, that's not enough these days. I've just noticed that so many people online are just saying, buy a BMW, they're faster, more horsepower, etc. For me, I don't care about all that. I care about the driving experience. And to me, this has been the best driving experience I've ever had. So now that we've gone over basically my 3 biggest things that have happened with this car so far, I think we should go over the things that I love about it after, you know, 75,000 miles on it. Like, how is it holding up otherwise? How do I like the driving experience? And has this car aged on me? To me, this is one of the most timeless designs Audi's made. I mean, I look at so many of their older Audis, and while some of them are super nice, I do think the last few models weren't that great. And I'm not talking about build quality or how they handle, perform, etc. I'm just talking about purely looks here. I mean, I do think that this is one of the nicest looking sedans. It's very understated. It's not super in your face. And to be honest, I feel like most people on the road wouldn't think this thing's too quick, but I've definitely dropped a few jaws before. Definitely not the fastest car I've ever driven either. I mean, it's quick, it's fun, but it's not the most insanely fast car. I mean, I don't think that's what this car was meant for. I think this was supposed to be a fun daily driver. I truly do think that this will be a classic car in the future. I don't think especially these manuals are gonna be easy to come by. They're already pretty hard to, and I just feel like that's gonna be another added factor in this. There's not too many Audis, and honestly, not very many cars being made in manual anymore. I actually love the interior on this car. I think this is the perfect mix of feeling like a car that has somewhat modern features. And yeah, I mean, this is a little dated these days. You know, the screen's not the biggest, but to me, that's one of the things I love. I'm not a huge fan of these cars coming out lately that are just iPads in your car. I want the driving experience that people in the 70s experienced. I don't want an iPad on wheels. I love that the speedometer is not, you know, a screen itself. I love the way that these things just look. The small carbon fiber trim is something I love. A nice little push to start you have here just makes it feel like a race car experience. I don't know. I just think that these things are timeless, and it's a good mix between, you know, pretty close to modern, but really raw feeling. This is an 11-year-old car now. And I mean, even the steering wheel, this would be completely acceptable in, you know, 2025. I just think that this car was ahead of its time, and, you know, maybe it's a little dated to some now, but I just feel like this is the perfect experience. Now, a big thing that I see a lot of people talk about is Audi's having an oil consumption issue. And while that hasn't been a huge problem for this car, it was for my last. I will say I probably lost, I don't know, 75% of a quart of oil on my last oil change. That was probably due to the valve cover gaskets that I replaced, and, you know, gaskets being 11 years old, that's probably not too bad. And I haven't found any noticeable oil leaks anywhere else, so I'm gonna say that the oil consumption's not too bad at 75,000 miles. Maybe I got a lucky one, or maybe it was maintained better than some other people's, but I haven't had an issue with it. The driver's seat has a little bit of wear here. I mean, you can see it's sat in, but I feel like it's maintained its integrity pretty good. If you compare it to this chair right here, this one has a little bit of wear itself, but not as bad as the other. Another big thing with Volkswagen products is headliners failing, and I'm in Texas right now. It's pretty humid here, so this would be a place I'd probably expect it to start to give out. And honestly, I haven't found any drooping anywhere, so I would say that that was pretty good itself. The thing that really hurts though is this right here. This actually gave out from, I believe, humidity, because when I lived in California, this wasn't an issue, but as soon as I moved here and it spent a summer in the hot, humid, I had this very, very minute scratch. I'm hoping you guys can see that on this panel, and painfully on this panel, I can see it every time I drive the car. Luckily, it's not the most expensive thing to replace, but it probably will cost me a couple $100, so that sucks, but it is what it is. Now, this car is lowered on ECS coilovers, so they're not very expensive. They're actually relatively cheap and affordable. I haven't had any issues. It's rode very well, so I can't speak on how the suspension would feel at 75,000 miles with stock, but for me, it's been great. It still handles the exact way I remember it feeling the day I bought it, which is a big thing for me. I care way more about how a car handles versus the speed of it, and I do plan on doing some upgrades in the future to make the handling even better. The steering wheel just feels very heavy, especially in the dynamic mode, which I love. I hate a loose steering wheel. I love something that feels very precise to my hand. That's the biggest complaint I've had with every American car I've owned, is just how soft the handling feels. And that's something that this thing's held up with really well. So I guess a big question that a lot of people have is this car worth buying for $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 depending on the miles? And to that, I'd say probably. I mean, I'd say the clutch is wear and tear. The water pump would be one of the bigger things on this car, and maybe that's another thing on a lot of other cars that I don't know about, but that's a big thing on this car. I mean, it's gonna happen to you no matter who you are or how well you maintain your car. That part will go out, it's guaranteed. And luckily, it's not a very expensive part to even do. I believe it was like $200 for the part in the coolant, so if you can do it yourself, that's only a $200 fix on one of the biggest issues on this car. And while you're there, you could do the PCV and the thermostat as well. I'm sure you'd be, I don't know, $700, $800 deep for some of the three biggest issues on this car. It's not too bad. And if you wanted to pay the labor for that, I believe that would probably get a little bit pricey. You're probably looking at a $2,000 to $3,000 for all those things, maybe more. I don't know, depends on where you live. And furthermore to that, my favorite thing about owning an Audi is the insane community around it, at least the B8 and the B8.5s. The amount of information I've pulled off of forums, the people on Instagram I've met, the YouTube videos that are literally every last step to a fix you could imagine, it makes learning how to work on a German car so much easier. Without all those things, I'd probably never recommend this car to someone that's worried about maintenance, but again, these big maintenance things are not super hard to get to, nor even replace. And in my opinion, there's not a lot of luxury cars in this price range, and especially in this year, that have maintained such an up-to-date look. I've had a ton of people on the street think that this car was a lot newer than it was, and you should see their faces when they hear it's a 2014. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend this car. If you have a little bit of free time and you're willing to learn on this car and have it be something that just kind of becomes your project, I don't see why you'd let a few big maintenance things step in the way for that. But maybe at 100,000 miles, I'll change my mind, right? Yeah, no, that's not happening. I promise you, I'm never selling this car. I like to say that I've been driving the exact same car since 2017. So what is that, like 8 years now? And the reason I say that is because the A4 was identical to this car, other than the fact that it was a smaller engine. It was manual as well, so I like to say I've been driving the same thing for 8 years. And if you're also an Audi owner, let me know in the comments below what issues you've had with the car. I'm sure there's a ton of people that could benefit from you letting them know your experience with this, which could maybe help them decide if this is something they want to get into. So I'm gonna get this coolant pissing car home and keep that in the garage until I have time to work on it. But if you enjoyed this video or got any value out of my experience with it, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I can almost guarantee you I left out a thing or two that I've noticed about the car, but genuinely, those have been the biggest issues I've had with it. And other than those issues, this has been genuinely the best car I've ever had. I literally cannot imagine selling this car, and all I want to do is continue to build it out at least aesthetically for now. I don't know if I'll go crazy with all the built mods, but I do know that I want this car to look perfect. I've got so many plans for this car. It's just a matter of time before we can get around to those, especially with my big move coming up. It's just not something I have time to do yet. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.